Okay, the points A, B and C have coordinates as follows. Okay, so 3, 5. So we gotta get, so 3 is here, 5 is there, so that's the point 3, 5, that's A. B is minus 6, 2. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down. Minus 6 on X and 2 on Y. So it's around there. Okay, the next one is 4, minus 4, 4, minus 4 is here. Okay, now what we got to decide to do is we got to move one of these. We plot A, B, and C on the diagram, right? So that's A, B, and C. Make sure to label them, okay? Now, next one. Find the area of the triangle ABC. Now, to find the area of the triangle, we need to translate the triangle onto this diagram, okay? So I'm just going to do this using GeoGebra in a second. So file, new file, don't save, okay? Now, what you're going to notice is we have our triangle here, okay? So our 3 points on this triangle. I'll put them in now. So the 3 points are 3, 5. So you can do this in spare paper, or you can more or less just do it on the graph you're just given. Minus 6, 2. Minus 6, 2 is over here. And 4 minus 4 is down here, okay? So what we had here was the triangle. Okay, oop. Undo. Okay, so this is our triangle here. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to move one of these onto the x-axis. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move A. I'm probably going to move A along. Okay, so we're going to move A 5 down and 3 across. Okay, so it's very important to memorize this as well. So it's going to be 5 down, 3 across. Okay, so 5 down, 3 across. So A will go 5 down. So minus 5. And 3 to the left is minus 3, okay? So if you're doing this by algebra, okay, what you can do is you can say that A is the point 3, 5. And what happens is 3, 5 gets turned into 0, 0. So you do the same thing for B. B is the point minus 6, 2. Okay? And what's going to happen is it's going to go 3 across, so it's going to go to minus 9. And it's going to go 5 down, which will turn that into minus 3. And finally the last point, which is 4 minus 4, it's going to go 3 to the left, which is going to bring it to minus 1. And it's also going to go, 5 down, which brings it to minus 9. So if I was to draw this, you'd see more or less that it's going to be the same triangle, okay? So we'll just have a quick look here now. Okay, so let's do momento. Okay, so let's see what happens when we draw it in. Okay, so we said it's going to go 5 down, 3 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 across. It's going to get me 5 down, 3 across. It's going to get me 9 minus 3. So that is 5 down, 3 across is 9 minus 3. This one here, 5 down, 3 across, going to get me to 0, 0. And then finally, what we're going to do here is 5 down, 3 across. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 across is here. Now, what we can do next is link all these points to each other. Okay, so here we go. Three across, okay? So, we're just going to double check this with the points we just used a second ago. 0, 0, check. Minus 9, minus 3, check. Minus 1, not minus 1, it's actually plus 1. Slight error on that. take 3 down is plus 1. 1 minus 9. Correct. Now, what's going to happen next is it's going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. Now you need to look at your tables to find out what is the area of a triangle formula. Okay, so the area of a triangle formula. Okay, so we're looking for the area of a triangle formula. So area of the triangle formula equals, now it'd be handy to know which page it's on. Okay, so when you go to your tables, okay, what you're looking for is geometry. Okay, so geometry is on page 17. You go to page 17, and what you do is you'll look at it. It's going to be the area of a triangle. It starts at page 17. It's actually on page 18, and what's going to be is a half the value of x1, y2. So, sorry, x1, y2 minus x2, y1. Okay, and what that's going to get me is a half x1, which is minus 9, y2 is minus 9, minus x2, y1 is going to be minus 1 times minus 3. Okay, and that's going to be a half of 81. 81 plus 3 is going to be 84. Now, if that was minus 84, the two lines means you always take a positive value. So the area of this triangle is going to be equal to 42. Okay, so that's what the area of this triangle is going to be equal to. It's going to be equal to 42. Now, just going to scroll back to the question. Okay, and we know that the area of this triangle is going to be 42. We're just after working that out. Okay, so we're on to the next question. The next question is, find the coordinates of the midpoint of AC. Now what you need to do is you need to go to page 18, and you need to find your midpoint formula. Okay, so the midpoint formula is midpoint is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Looking for the midpoint of AC. A can be x1, y1, and C can be x2, y2. Put them in. x1 is 10, x2 is 2 divided by 2, y1 is 5, y2 is 11, divide that by 2, and your answer should come to 5, 8. Sorry, not 5, 8, 6, 8, excuse me. So 10 plus 2 is 12, 6, 8. Now, show that OB is perpendicular to AC. To show that the line OB is perpendicular to AC, what you need to do is you need to get the slopes of both of them. You got to multiply the slopes by each other to get minus 1. So what we need is the slope of OB, and we also need the slope of AC. Now, the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what we're going to do is we're going to have two different sets here. We can have the blue set, which is x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. So what we're going to get here for OB, okay, OB is going to be y2, so it's going to be 16 minus 0, which is y2 minus y1, divided by 12 minus 0, and that answer is going to be 4 over 3. We're expecting the answer of AC to be minus 3 over 4. Remember, you can turn it upside down, change the sign, but we got to verify that. Okay, so for AC we're going to get 11, which is y2. 11 minus so what's it? 11 minus 5. So 11 minus 5 divided by 2 minus 10. Okay, And what that's going to get us is 6 divided by minus 8. Put that into your calculator and you get minus 3 over 4. Now to get full marks, what we got to do is we got to multiply them both by each other. M1 by M2 equals minus 1. So you got to say 4 over 3 multiplied by minus 3 over 4 equal to minus 1. Minus 1 equal to minus 1. Hence they're perpendicular. Okay? So hence they're perpendicular. Now, these two vertical lines here means distance formula. Okay, so once again, you're going to go to your book, look up the distance formula. Okay, distance formula is going to be the square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, and then what we got to do is we got to do it for the, so we're going to go for OB first. OB and the square root of x2 minus x1. Okay, so x2 minus x1 is going to be 12 minus 0 squared plus y2 minus y1, which is going to be 16 minus 0 squared. Now, investigate whether means it doesn't actually have to be. Sometimes look at the language of the question can help you, okay? So this doesn't have to equal each other, but if they do, it would say show that or verify would be the words, okay? So this is actually, the answer for this is 20. Just put it directly into the calculator. Just put that straight into the calculator, okay? So then you just know what it's 20, okay? Now, we got to do AC next. And AC is the square root of, so AC, so it's going to be 2 minus 10 squared plus 2 minus 10 squared, 11 minus 5 squared plus 11 minus 5 squared, straight into the calculator with it. So it'll be root, and that equals 10. So we know that no, they aren't the same size, okay, so they're not the same length. Okay, next question. 5 lines J, K, L, M, and N in the coordinate diagram. In the coordinate plane are shown diagram. The slopes of 5 lines are in the table below. Complete the matched lines to their slopes. Now remember, slope equals rise over run. Okay? Now rise over run means that if you're going up, the rise is positive. If you're going down, the rise is negative. If you're going right, the run is positive. And if you're going left, the run is negative. Now, if you take a general slope, okay, bigger slopes, for instance, if you were to go 2 blocks up, 1 block across, that's a slope of 2. Okay, so 2 is a steep slope. Okay, 2 is a steep slope. While if you were to have a slope of a half, that means you go 2 across, 1 up, and the slope isn't as steep as it was. Okay, negative slopes, positive slopes go diagonal right up, while negative slopes go this direction, diagonal right down. Okay, so with this in mind, we can try and figure out which slope is which. Okay, so let's look at the slopes of each one. Now, first of all is L. L is completely flat. It has no slope. Okay, so we can say that this is L. Okay, the next one we're looking at is the biggest number. The biggest number is number 2. Number 2 is the steepest slope there is in this diagram. It's a positive slope as well, which means it's going diagonal right up. 2 has got to be K because it's so steep. Okay, the only other positive slope I see is M. And as you can see, M is not steep at all. It's very, very, just not really a big slope. So that M is going to be an 8. Then we look at the negative slopes. The negative slopes are J and N. Now, which one is the steeper negative slope? Remember, the steeper negative slope is the bigger number. Or sorry, it's more negative. So let's say we had minus 2. Minus 2 means you drop down 2 and you go across 1. Well, if we had another one that was going across 2 and down 1, this slope is this slope here is minus a half, while the steeper slope is -2. So the steeper slope, the more negative it is, as in the bigger the smaller the number. So for instance, -10 has a steeper slope than -1, and -1 has a steeper slope than -1/4. So basically what we're looking at here is n is going to be -1, and -1/4 is going to be j, which isn't as steep. Okay, so this one here is going to be j. Next question. On the diagram below, where A is -4, 1, B is -2, 5, and C is 6, 1, what we go is show the triangle ABC. So we got to draw the triangle ABC. Okay, show the triangle. So we got to draw the triangle is basically what it's looking for, right? So we're looking for -4, 1. It's going to be here. The next one is going to be -2, 5. Going to be up here, and then the next one is 6, 1, which is going to be 6, 1 is going to be here. Now what we can do is we can just more or less just join these points up together here. Okay, and here's our triangle. Whoop. Just not happy about doing that, so we'll just give it one more go here. Okay, 1, 2. I'll try and draw a pen all the way across. Now, probably best to use a ruler here. Ugh. So as you can see, that's our triangle there. Okay. Now, find D, the midpoint of AC, on the diagram. Okay. So find P, the midpoint of AC. So P is the midpoint of AC. Okay. So A is the point -4, 1. This is A, and C is 6, 1. So we want to find the midpoint of this. Okay. So we could almost do this by using the diagram itself. Okay, so we could go, what's the distance from A to C? It's 1 block, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a gap of 10, which means a gap of 5 across. Okay, so it means a gap of 10. It means a gap of 10, which means 5 across will get us the midpoint. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The midpoint will be located here. That's the midpoint P. And P is going to be the point, what's going to be 1, 1. Now, you could also do this by using the midpoint formula, where the midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And you can just check it out here. So you want AC, x1, y1, x2, y2. So x2 plus x1 is going to be 6 minus 4, which is 2. 2 divided by 2. And y1 plus y2 is 1 plus 1 divided by 2. And we know that this answer is 1, 1. So we're just after verifying what we just knew there, okay? Sorry, and the point was D, not P. The midpoint was D. Okay. Now, next question. The point A has coordinates 0, 1. The line L passes through A and has a slope of a half. Find the equation of the line L. Because we're looking for the equation of L, L is a line. Therefore, we're looking for the equation of a line. In your notes, you gotta look in your tables. You gotta find the equation of the line is y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Okay. Now that we have this done, what we gotta do next is we got to basically put in our numbers. Okay. So we know that this is x1, y1. Okay. So we're gonna have is y minus 1 equals m is the slope into x minus 0. Now, the 2 is all the way underneath everything, which means you can cross multiply the 2. So bring the 2 up there, and you're going to get 2y minus 2, because you're multiplying both of these by 2. And that equals x. Okay. Then you can bring x over the other side. And what we get is minus 1x plus 2y minus 2 equals 0. And what we can do here is we can multiply this by minus 1 if you require to have it in the form x minus 2y plus 2 equals 0. Both answers are acceptable. Okay. Now, AB is the diameter of a circle, where B is the point 10, 1. B is the point 10, 1 here. Okay. Find the center and radius of the circle. So, the center of the circle is the midpoint of AB. So we're going to need the midpoint formula, okay? So, we're going to have here is 10, 1. So B is 10, 1, which is going to be x2, y2. A is the point 0, 1, which can be x1, y1. Okay. Now, to find the center of the circle, we need the midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So what we're going to get is 0 plus 10 divided by 2, and we're going to get y1 plus y2, which is 1 plus 1 divided by 2. So the answer here should be 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the center of the circle is 5, 1. So what we know now is that this is 5, 1. Now what we also know is that they're actually on the same line as each other. See, this point 1 never changes. So the gap from 5, 1 to 10, 1 is 5. Therefore the radius is 5. So the center of the circle is 5, 1, and the radius is 5. Another way of finding out the radius would have been to do the distance formula, but as you can see, if you can do it by diagram, there's no real point if you can do it the easier way. But you could also do the distance formula from the center. You could do the distance formula from here to here, and you could also find it's 5 that way as well. Okay. The line L crosses the circle at points A and D. Write down the slope of DB and explain how you know this is the slope. Okay. Now, the slope, we could use the slope formula. Okay, so 10, what's a 10, 1? So what do you want? DB. DB. Okay. So we know that DB is perpendicular to AD. Okay, so DB is perpendicular to AD. Okay. And we know that the slope of AD equals a half. Therefore, the slope of DB is turned upside down and change the sign. So it's going to be 2 over 1. So the slope of DB is going to be minus 2. Okay? We know that's minus 2. Explain. We know that the slope of DB is minus 2 because the sign in the question says that it's at 90 degrees. Okay? So because it's at 90 degrees, this means that DB is perpendicular to AD. Therefore, the slope has to be minus 2. Okay, next question. Write down the slope has a y-intercept of 4. So this is the point 0, 4. Okay. Now remember rise over run to find the slope. Okay, so that's rise over run. What you do is you pick any 2 points on the graph you want. Okay, so we could pick any 2 points. Okay, so let's pick this point here. This point here is going to be, that's 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It seems to be going up in twos. Okay, just 1 second. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so just when you're doing this diagram, okay, just keep a quick note on the numbers, okay? So it goes up. Every block is worth 2. That's 4. This one here is 6. This one here is 8, and this one here is 10. Okay, so this is actually the point 8, 8. Okay, so this point here is 8, 8. Okay, now let's see what happens when you go from 0, 4 to 8, 8. Okay, so we should be able to get the slope here. Okay, so the run is, it goes 4 blocks, it goes 8 blocks across is the run, and the rise is 4 blocks up. Okay, so up is positive and right is positive, so rise over run is 4 over 8, which equals a half. Now, this formula here, which is in your tables, y equals mx plus c, m is the slope, and c is the value where it cuts the y-axis. Y-axis, y-intercept, okay? Now what we know is that the y-intercept is 4. So we know that y equals a half x, because the slope is a half, plus 4. Okay? And that's the equation of your line. Now, the equation of two lines L1 and L2 are x plus 3y equals a and 6x minus 2y equals 15. Determine whether these lines are perpendicular. Justify your answer. To prove that lines are perpendicular, I have to prove that the first slope multiplied by the second slope is minus 1. Now, a great way of getting the slope of these is to use y equals mx plus c. Basically rearrange the formula to get y on its own. So the first one is going to be move the x over the other side, and what we're going to get is 3y equals minus x plus 8. Now you got to get rid of the 3, so y equals minus x over 3 plus 8 over 3, because it's division when it's on the right hand side. Okay? Do the same thing for the next formula. What we're going to do this time is we'll bring y to the right, so and 15 to the left, so we'll have 6x minus 15 equals plus 2y. Because we want it as plus y, we're going to do a spin here, equals 6x minus 2y, and then y equals 6x divided by 2. Oh, sorry, that's plus 15. Excuse me. Plus 15. So it's going to be 6x divided by 2, because you're dividing by 2. And that's going to be plus 15 over 2. Therefore, y equals 3x plus 7.5, let's say. Okay? Now, look at both equations and use y equals mx plus c. Now, minus x over 3 is basically the same thing as minus a third x. Okay? So what I'm just going to do is going to change this part here into minus a third x. Now let's look at both equations, okay? And let's see. What number is the slope of L1? Slope of L1 is whatever number comes in front of the x. Slope of L1 is minus a third. The slope of L2 is 3. Justify your answer clearly. Okay, these two lines are perpendicular because when you multiply the slopes of both lines, as I'm doing now, the answer equals minus 1. This means that both slopes are perpendicular to each other, hence both lines are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so they're perpendicular to each other. Okay, that is the end of the geometry section.